इन आदर्शों की उदारता से उन्होंने समझौते के कागजात पर दस्तखत कर दिए। लेकिन अभी समझौते के दस्तावेज पर स्याही सूखी भी न थी कि उसी रात शास्त्री जी को दिल का दौरा पड़ा और उनकी मृत्यु हो गई। गांधी जी ने कहा था कि शत्रु का दिल जीतना ही वास्तविक जीत है। सुदूर ताशकंद में जब स्वर्गीय लाल बहादुर शास्त्री को कोसिजन के साथ साथ खुद जनरल अयूब खान ने कंधा दिया तो लगा जैसे शास्त्री जी बापू के फलसफे को चरितार्थ कर दुनिया से रुखसत हो गए थे। लाल बहादुर शास्त्री केवल 18 महीनों तक भारत के प्रधानमंत्री रहे, लेकिन अपने प्रधानमंत्रित्व के छोटे से कार्यकाल में शास्त्री जी ने भारत के हर नागरिक के कानों में आत्मसम्मान और आत्मबल का मंत्र फूंक दिया था। अपने व्यक्तित्व से उन्होंने निष्काम कर्म और पुरुषार्थ की वो मिसाल कायम की कि उनकी गिनती भारतीय इतिहास के सर्वोच्च महापुरुषों में होती है।
Insights about the conference.
Good afternoon. It's a very, very cold good afternoon. That's better. Thank you very much. Honorable Chairman, our chief guest, other esteemed guests, distinguished resource persons, my dear students and colleagues. Professor Sumantro Ghosal, he said that if you visit any organization, you can know about the organization by the smell of the place. I would just like to add one thing. The smell which is created by the place, major contribution comes from the people of the place. And that's why in any organization, whether it is going to create economic value or it is going to create excellence, people's contribution is critical. And that is the theme of today's conference, where we are going to discuss that how important is developing human capital for business excellence and what are the challenges which can be addressed by the organizations in which the people who are working in the HR department of the organizations have a great role to play. Purely from economic viewpoint, human capital is the combined stock of competencies that enable human beings to perform activities that can produce economic value. There are two aspects of human capital. One is at the societal level, the other is at the corporate level. In this conference, we are going to focus at the corporate level. There are two distinct dimensions again within the corporate. One is related to the strategic perspective and the other is related to the operationalization. So there will be two technical sessions in which we will be discussing about various aspects of these issues related to developing human capital for business excellence. I won't come between you and the chief guest, who is one of the rarest genre of professionals, enlightened professionals, who have played a great role on and off the stage in corporate world as well as at the real estate. With these words, I again remind you that you are going to listen to one of the most illustrious persons in human resource management corporate world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now take the opportunity to invite the chief guest of the conference, Sri Rajiv Dubey, to kindly deliver the inaugural address.
Good afternoon. I am truly privileged and greatly humbled to be standing here before you in the presence of people like Anilji, and especially coming in after this very inspiring and moving film. It is truly a privilege for me, and in fact I'm so humbled that I'm almost rendered speechless, but I have a speech to give. So I take courage from the German poet Wolfgang Goethe, who would have told me, "Do not be so humble, dear sir. After all, you're not that great." So taking courage from that, most humbly and respectfully, I would like to present to you my views on creating tomorrow's leader. Now, I'm carrying coal to Newcastle, you know that, but I think the new normal, or the condition under which we will all have to operate, can be summarized by the words that you see on the screen. The first one is VUCA, which, as you know, stands for volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So that is how the world is going to be. That which we thought was right will become wrong. That which we thought was good will become bad, and it will become good again. So things are changing. That's what VUCA means. The other characteristic of the new normal is countervailing power. That means there will be a pushback from all stakeholders, customers, employees, suppliers, shareholders, and in fact the communities that we operate in. So in this new normal, what is it that tomorrow's leader will have to do, and what is the kind of behavior that ideally we would like from tomorrow's leader, is the subject of my brief presentation today. So I think the basic purpose or the objective of tomorrow's leader will be to create a culture, and culture is nothing but the way people behave, especially as they go about taking business decisions or whatever decisions their organization requires them to take. We need to build a culture that does three things simultaneously. The first one, the beginning and in fact the end, has to be sustained outperformance, but at the same time showing extreme care for all stakeholders, whether they be customers, employees, communities, and nurturing and nourishing the core values of the organization. So all three things have to be done together. One or two are not good enough. In fact, my belief and the belief of a lot of people is that you cannot have sustained outperformance unless you address the other two things simultaneously. So, in a sense, this becomes the triple bottom line that tomorrow's leader will have to address. And of course, in the short run, there are business imperatives of cost, of cash, of competence, and of confidence. So how do you conserve cash? How do you make sure that costs are in order? How do you make sure that the organization has the competence that is required to make sure that future strategies come through? And how do you keep the morale and the confidence of the organization? So that has to be done. Let me move on. Now, I'm still framing my talk. I am coming from the space that says, of course you need structure, strategy, metrics. All those things are absolutely necessary. But they are not sufficient to create a great and transformational organization. You need to add to these things that little person called the human being. So, I'm saying that the human being, instead of becoming a resource, actually is the source of all the greatness that an organization can produce. And that's the standpoint from which I will be talking today. So I will not be spending time on strategy, structure, processes and metrics, even though they are very important. I just wanted to make that clear. I will be addressing and talking to you from the point of view of the human being and of the behavior of human beings. So in the VUCA world, I have been a corporate slave for the last 40 years. Anilji, of course, has been running the nation and comes from a family that has impacted the nation greatly. I have come to believe that the most important thing for an organization to have success is to have clarity about the purpose. What is the purpose that we are here for? What is the dream that we have? And please believe me, in the hurly-burly of the new normal, when people will fail, sometimes we will succeed, we will be buffeted around by the storms of the gales of perennial destruction. The one thing that sustains us, the one thing that will make us stand up each time we fall down and keep forging ahead, is to be clear about what is our purpose, what is our dream. And the leader of tomorrow not only has to be able to co-create and articulate that purpose and dream, he has through his communication to make sure that his dream and his purpose become